Hello and welcome back to Film Expert versus Film Noob. I'm Chewy.
And I'm Cat.
It's a bit of a change of pace this week. The film today is The Mitchells versus the Machines. Very different than Censor,
Yes.
obviously, but of course, um, all film is worthy of being critiqued the same. So we're back, and funnily enough, I actually brought this up to you earlier, but you didn't know that you knew who the filmmakers behind this movie were. But I reminded you. So for anyone who doesn't know, The Mitchells versus the Machines is a film directed by and written by Michael Rianda and co-directed by Jeff Rowe. These are the two people behind Gravity Falls. So this is their first feature-length film, and they got Phil Lord and Christopher Miller to help them make this film. So if anyone doesn't know who Phil Lord and Christopher Miller is, little bit of a backstory. They started their career with Clone High, which was a show from 2003. It's probably one of like my favorite animated shows. But they got their start with Cloudy with a Chance at Meatballs. That's like their first really big successful film. They did the Lego Movie, 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street. They also, their production company was behind Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which was my favorite film of that year. So there's a lot of talent behind this film. And you like 21 Jump Street and everything like that.
Yes.
You just didn't know that that was Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. But it got me really excited to watch this film because it's like anything that these guys are around turns to gold. Everyone always says it's like, or this is like the phrase that people use with Lord and Miller is like, they give you the movies you didn't know you wanted to see because they just always unanimously somehow manage to kind of please everybody, but at the same time having a fresh take on something that's been done a million times before. And it's very, very commendable that they seem to keep being able to pull this off. But yeah, the movie has a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, so everyone seems to really, really like this film. It's a family film, so obviously pretty easy for people to watch. Of course, though, I don't believe that family film gets a free pass. I hate that when people say that kind of stuff. Oh, it's a kids movie. Oh, who cares? Like I hate that. Because essentially what you're saying is children are too stupid to be taken seriously and actually try to have stories told to with intelligence. And I think it's the wrong route to take because I know I grew up in an era, the 90s, the 90s, where at least the animated films back then treated you like an adult. And it was very nice. It was very formative. And I'm glad that those films seem to be returning.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think children's should be taken like less seriously just
Yeah.
because they're children movies.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, anyways, so I'll just get a synopsis in here real quick, and then we'll just kind of dive in. Once again, as usual, this is going to be spoiler heavy. We can't really talk or analyze a film without kind of explaining scenes and whatnot. So apologies for anyone out there who needs to go see this film. It's on Netflix.
You should go watch
You should
it.
go watch it. I honestly, I guess, yeah, I would recommend it. Do you? What about yourself?
100%.
100%.
Yes,
100%. Great. So that's a
100%.
good recommendation. It's pretty easy to watch. But so let's carry on here. We have a story about young Katie Mitchell embarks on a road trip with her proud parents, younger brother, and beloved dog to start her first year at film school. But their plans to bond as a family get soon interrupted when the world's electronic devices come to life to stage an uprising. With the help from two friendly robots, the Mitchells must now come together to save one another and the planet from the new technological revolution. So that's a lot. That sounds
is
like
a
that's
lot.
like the whole movie, right?
That sounds like a bad movie to me, but it's not. Yeah.
It sounds like a plot summary that doesn't think you're going to be able to sit through it.
That's the thing is
And
like,
just really quickly, that is that was my first impression. I was like, they have no faith in this film. What if it's actually bad?
I knew this movie was good just because I heard it from other people, right?
Okay, so yeah.
But it's not a movie that I saw the cover of and wanted to see.
Totally. I think we might have seen it scrolling through Netflix one day, and I
Yeah.
think we both just were like, okay, whatever. Like, we didn't really look much deeper. We just saw it, and we were like, okay, well, this looked like the animation looks nice.
I
Because-
didn't think that.
Oh, you
Like,
didn't
I
think
didn't
so?
think that from the cover. I thought
Oh.
that from the movie.
Oh, okay. Well, I must have seen more
Yeah.
than you. I saw a bit of the
No,
preview, and the
didn't.
thing is, this movie, like I mentioned, is produced by the Lord and Miller Group, but with Sony Animation Studios. So they're using the exact same technology that was used to animate Into the Spider-Verse. So if anyone thinks that movie looked really, really, really good, this movie also looks really, really, really good and blends 3D and 2D and live action stuff very seamlessly in its art style. Like, there's like they make the joke about the family photo, and it's like
Yes.
a stock photo from like a Walmart if you bought like a photo frame, and like then you see like the families like the family photos, they're all 2D,
Yeah.
but then everything else is 3D animation with like the kind of the 2D, I guess, glaze over it, like Into the Spider-Verse. I mean, I don't want to talk about that too much, but it's a very, very, very pretty looking film because of that.
And also, I, for example, didn't like Spider in the Spider-Verse.
Yes, you did not enjoy.
I didn't like it because I'm not fond of Spider-Man. Like, I guess I like the first
You just
movies.
don't. Well,
Yeah, I don't.
Kat
I
just doesn't like superhero movies in general.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't like them. I just didn't get whatever everyone else was getting, but I did appreciate the art, I guess.
Right.
That's the only thing I could say about the film. I really didn't like it. Like, that's the thing. Like, I know everyone loves Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse.
I know you could not be bothered. You were like, I
Yeah.
don't care about Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's more like, yeah, I just couldn't care. I couldn't care less about all the characters. But in this movie, I got to experience the animation plus a story that I really, really love. So I'm really happy.
Right. Okay. So I'll just kind of give a little bit of a setup before we kind of dive into it. But I wasn't actually super thrilled by the opening 20 minutes. Personally, I don't know how you were feeling about that, but I mean, Katie's going to be going to film school. That's like the setup, and it's a cross-country trip to California where she's going to school. So it's the daughter and the dad don't get along, and they're being forced to go on a road trip to sort out their differences, more or less. We've seen this a million times. This is like the classic family bonding road trip movie setup. And you meet all the characters, and she has a younger brother that's kind of quirky. He's into dinosaurs, maybe autistic. We don't know. I kind of feel like that representation was intentional, but I kind of liked it.
But
The
wait,
mom's...
but you feel like that because you have experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have twin brothers that are both on the autistic spectrum. So I got that a little bit from that, which I really, really appreciate because they didn't make a thing about him being weird. They never said, oh, well, he's autistic and he did all the, I guess, generic, stereotypical, like mentally challenged thing that Hollywood always does, which is like, if you're autistic, you're so far on the spectrum, you have to be like Rain Man autistic. It's ridiculous, personally. So it was nice, although it was very distracting. I don't know if you noticed that the boy's voice was like, as like a man's
No,
voice,
I didn't
like an
notice
adult
that.
male.
I couldn't care less. I actually maybe appreciate it because I don't like children's voice.
It
So
was very distracting for me.
for me, it was the opposite. It was like, I guess, really high pitched voices distract me or make me feel like not interested. But maybe the fact that his voice was not high pitched, I liked the boy. I really liked his character.
No, I mean, like, that's what I
Uh,
mean. Like, his character is very interesting, and I can kind of get it. Maybe why they didn't choose a kid, because they're like convinced a kid couldn't pull off like the
yeah.
subtlety of the performance. Although, as an interesting side note, the person who is actually voicing the younger brother is the director of the movie, like Mike Rianda. So, I mean, I was right. It is like a fully adult man.
Yes. But I didn't feel like the movie was slow at the beginning
Really?
because for me, it's so fast that I lose interest in movies. It's fast. It's almost instant. It's the first, I would say, 3 minutes, and I lose interest. So for me, if you don't catch me in those 3 minutes, I already gave up.
Well, that's interesting because
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Like, I was not interested within the first
Really?
20 minutes or whatever, but I just wanted to give it a chance because I saw sparks of genius.
I was interested because I already kind of could see the story, and it was interesting to me.
Yeah, but you like sappy, corny stuff. Like, the
It's-
opening is very, like, typical, but it's very, like, corny and heartfelt. but not in like a really kind of like condescending way. So you're like, okay, well, it's sweet.
I don't think so. I think it's ironic. I think how all this
No,
setup.
no. Well, this is the thing.
Yeah.
What I was going to say was at first I didn't like it because later what you learn is that the film starts trying to visually, or I guess the narrative tries to mimic filmmaking technique
Yes.
because of our main character.
Yeah.
Because she's a film nerd and is going to film school. So all of these, I guess, typical Hollywood narrative tropes are actually woven into the narrative intentionally to then subvert them later.
Yes.
But that's what I mean. That's why at first I was like, what is this? And then as it revealed itself, I was like, oh, this is okay, this is great.
I think I noticed that.
It was deceptive.
Well, I noticed it right away for some reason. I think for me it was like too obvious they were trying to make it a joke, like all these typical things that you have seen in so many movies. And I don't want to get ahead of myself because like I have comments about some other things. But yeah, like I did notice instantly that this is an exaggeration or more like a comment about other movies, so that's why I was intrigued and interested right away.
Interesting. Yeah, well, I mean, and that's the thing. You picked up on that because you don't watch a ton of movies. To me, it was, I've seen this before, and then they told me why, and I was like, okay, I see the point. The moment, I guess, that I kind of caught on was because, obviously, it's the Lord and Miller style of humor. It's very, like, ironic and contradictory and absurdly contradictory. Like they will do this so many times where they go, oh, don't worry about that party. They won't even be exciting. And then it cuts to the party and everyone's like, it's the most exciting night of my life. Oh my God. Like, so they're really great at, I guess, like setting things up and paying them off. And they always pay them off.
Oh, it's right.
They set up so many gags and jokes that come back not even just once, not even twice. Some of them come back 4 times and you never expect it. And it's so funny.
Yeah.
This movie is really, really, really funny. Like I said, at first I was kind of slow to get into it. But once it got rolling, the humor is exactly what you expect from those guys. Think the Lego movie mixed with Into the Spider-Verse because it's, the teen kind of angst problem stuff too. But it's just like very heartfelt, just very innocently funny.
Yeah, like the movie was just a masterpiece and it's my new favorite movie.
Oh boy. I won't go that far.
No, I think so because like I do get obsessed with movies. I usually just watch one and rewatch it and I think I'm going to do that.
Yes, you have a problem.
I do. And I just like one movie at a time. So this is a really good movie. And another thing is that all the jokes, as you said, were like perfectly set.
Yes, well, there's like a
And-
lot of visual, like just puns, visual puns,
It's just
literal
amazing.
puns. Like there's when the robots uprising starts and they're in a mall and the toasters are coming after them. What's the line they say? They said something like,
Your
"Oh,
toast.
once we're done with you, there will be no leftovers."
Oh, that's
like,
the microwave.
yeah, the microwave.
Yeah.
It's like it's so good. Like those things are always like in the background. They always throw in little gags like that, and it's like joke after joke after joke, like constant. It's great.
Yeah, it
It's
makes
so
you
great.
it makes you smile throughout the whole film to
Yes,
the point
you're always amused.
your cheeks hurt. Like yeah, for me it was like my cheeks are hurting, I cannot stop smiling, and at the same time I cried maybe like 4 times during the movie. Especially like they had no
I cried too.
Yeah, they have no reason to make me cry in the first 10 minutes. Like in the
They did
first
do
10
that.
minutes, I was crying because it was so emotional. And I loved
But this
it.
is what I'm saying. So this is what goes back to like their genuineness, because Phil Lord and Christopher Miller just seem to have an eye for talent. And I know there are so many fans of Gravity Falls. Like people think that show is so good, which they just love it to death. And they just have an eye for like really sincere and genuine people. And like I said, there's like the bog standard setup, but they have this little thing where they have like before they go on the road trip, they have a montage where the dad's watching all the home movies, and you kind of see the connection where you're like, oh, he's the one who brought film into her life because of the home movie thing.
I think the mom was filming and doing all
well,
the
yeah,
movies.
no, but that's what I mean. Like, but it was them. Like they
Yeah.
brought the film to her, like into her life. And
Somehow, yes.
somehow through that, so he has a responsibility to that, and he just it's the catalyst. He just all those emotions of him being like, "Oh my God, I'm so distant from my daughter now." It got us go. Like it's very effective.
One thing, well, I wanna start talking about like the more general aspects of the movie. So I'm gonna say that I love the fact that the dad is a Gen X
Oh yeah.
and the kids are Zoomers.
Oh man,
I loved
yes.
it because I'm done with boomers and millennials. Like that's it. Like our time has passed. I don't care about our stories anymore. I have seen enough. I don't need to know about my relatable things.
Absolutely,
Yes.
I completely agree with you because I feel like if I was like a 14-year-old or whatever, I would go, "Oh, this appeals to me in exactly the
Yes.
right ways." All this, I've seen these things that, like bringing up the YouTube or the TikTok or the Instagram references and stuff. It's very like, it feels like it's on the pulse without being like I'm an old man writing kids. Like when you're watching it, you go, this feels like a kid could relate to this.
But that's the thing is like the people watching these are not boomers and millennials.
Yeah,
It's Gen Xers and Zoomers watching with their kids, the same as when our parents will watch like I don't know, like Lion King with
of
us,
course.
right? So it's like it's their time to enjoy references and
Exactly.
feel understood and feel like, oh, I remember that. It's so true
Yeah,
because
for the
it's
dads
amazing.
and the parents and the kids alike. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's both of those generations perfectly where they need to be.
Yes.
And that kind of brings me to I just wanted to mention one of the more, I guess, interesting setups. You mentioned the whole YouTube, Instagram, TikTok appeal, the kids, the Gen X's. My favorite thing about that is how that is set up by public perception in such a beautiful way that when they get to the climax of the film, the climax is literally Rick, the dad, has to figure out how to go onto YouTube and subscribe to a YouTube channel. Like it is hilarious because it's like I've seen this YouTube video where they go try to get a bunch of old people to figure out how to use YouTube. It's just like the balls on these people to just be like, that's the climax of the movie.
And I love how the mom, I don't know, maybe some people won't like this stereotype. I love it because I kind of feel that it's actually kind of like more empowering to women that the mom actually is way more technologically advanced or
Yeah, yeah,
like
she's very tech savvy.
see, she's really tech savvy and that's true because moms tend to like social media a little bit more. I don't know, it maybe they like social connection and
Well,
groups and
actually,
being on like together and talking with people, so they just have to learn the technology faster than men, I
and
guess.
funnily to that point, I'm going to bring up my own mother, is that she actually learned basic coding back in the day because she was a paralegal and sexism. Women do a lot of
Hmm.
secretary work because of the time, and they were the ones who actually learned how to use computers because you had to learn DOS. And to use DOS, you just had to write like command lines and stuff like that. So she actually learned basic computing. So just through that alone, she became more tech savvy and is way more tech savvy than my dad. And she's from a different generation. So like I think it even carries just beyond that. I can relate to that. And my mom is not even that like kind of mom. But
Yeah.
it's just, interesting that it kind of plays out that way.
Yeah, it's really I loved every aspect of it. How she is in social media, and how she's like jealous of other moms,
Yes, yes, they dive
and
into that.
yes, and I love it because that's such a thing. That's like that's today's problems. That's not our parents' problems. That's why I don't know. All those details make me feel really happy because I'm kind of sick of stereotypical movie plots,
Hmm.
and I was telling Chewy I'm also like sick of stereotypical like songs and music and all
Oh,
that.
yes, good point. The
Yeah,
music.
so I'm just like sick of all the same things all over and over again. I want to see the new things. I want to see our new problems with it, which is technology and social media. And
Absolutely.
finally, this is a movie that it's a movie that plays it off like so naturally.
Absolutely. Well, because it,
Nothing
it was
is
written by someone who was actually
yeah.
there, not someone who's pretending like they were
Aha! It's
there.
not like, oh, this is so exaggerated, or this is kind of false, or this is too silly. No, no, no. It's as it is.
Yes. And
Is
exactly, you don't go, oh, here's another pop song. You go, oh, another thing they set up. Oh, this pop song directly relates to Katie and Rick's relationship. Like, they write it into the movie that it actually has a point. It's not just there for the sake of getting, the promotional bucks, you know. Oh, we get the pop song in there, get the royalties going, Sony music. Oh, there's a Sony licensed song, whatever. None of that's, it's, like I said, it's all very sincere. Everything there is meant to be there with the utmost care for the people watching and for the material they're using. It's just, I just love Lord and Miller. I could gush about them for hours. And honestly, the only reason I watched this movie was to have an excuse to talk about them.
Because like you said, they directed 21 and 22
That's
Jump
right,
Street.
they did. Another movie that is just completely full of visual gags and and film puns and all sorts of stuff like that.
I did like
It's
this
their
movie,
thing.
but I love 21 and 22 Jump Street. I love them, but it's definitely like a little bit more, I don't know, nasty.
Well, it's inappropriate for one, but
Yeah.
it still is their trademark kind of juvenile style of humor
Yeah.
because there are two robots in this movie I mentioned in the synopsis that join them, and essentially what what happens, another thing they set up, another gag, is that they have this dog, it's a pug, and it looks like a blob, like it's just a hilariously animated cartoon dog with bug eyes, and it just slobbers everywhere. And there's a joke that these two robots, they get damaged in like some kind of encounter, and they're malfunctioning, and they see the dog, and they can't tell if the dog is a pig or a dog
Or a loaf of bread.
or a loaf of bread. So it goes dog, pig, loaf of bread, and they malfunction. And they essentially break their computing and just they start obeying the humans, and they're like, they accept them into the family, and they go help them on their journey to help stop the robot uprising and stuff like that. But those guys are like so juvenile. That is like their juvenile humor just dialed up to 11. It just never ends.
Never. It's so good.
They're always doing something stupid.
Yeah.
Their names are Eric and Deborah Bot 5000. Like their opening scene is like an Abbott and Costello routine where they're just like, "Oh no, we are not robots. We are humans," and it's like the most obviously fake thing. Obvious. They're like these sleek white iPod looking kind of robots, and they like go, "Oh, there are no robots here. Maybe they're downstairs." And they literally do like the pretend to walk downstairs thing behind a shelf. They come back up with faces hastily drawn on, and they're like, "See, we are human." It's like,
Yeah, those
it's just so silly.
Yeah, those robots were my favorite thing about the movie.
Yeah. And again, how to do comic relief without them being annoying. Because they could have been
Oh.
so annoying. Think about any Disney movie you've seen recently where
Oh,
the cute thing or the kind of
Oh, no.
kind of dumb sidekick gets thrown in.
It's
Olaf, for instance.
Oh no! Don't start with Olaf. I don't wanna. I don't wanna ruin my joy tonight by talking about Olaf because I
Right.
want him dead.
Ugh.
I want.
The-
I
the point- the
want to
point being-
burn him.
Yes. The point being, these characters can be so easily done wrong.
No, but everything about this movie, I don't know. We're like,
I know we're kind of talking in circles at this point because it's just we have only good things to say.
I know we're being a couple of suckers for the film, and
Yes.
that's a reference to one of the jokes they make there.
Yes, my queen.
But it
Yes,
is
my queen.
but it is really good. And yeah, I have a problem with two things, like side characters that are like the comic relief. I don't even know what that exactly means, but I think I
What
understand.
comic relief means?
Yeah.
Oh, think of Jar Jar Binks. He's a bad example of comic relief because he's very goofy in an otherwise serious film. The comic relief character is supposed to provide levity. Like all they do is to tell jokes. It was a big thing in film in the 90s and early 2000s. Like that's why, like for instance, Rob Schneider can end up in a Judge Dredd film because it's a very serious action movie and they needed a funny guy in it so that people will have things to laugh at in between all the shootouts. Like it was a thing that would just happen all the time.
And why do you think a comic relief is important in film? Why do they
Why do I
they
thi-
do that?
why
Or
do
is
they
it
do that?
specifically for family films?
No. It can be a very useful tool in any film. It's just that you putting a comic relief character for the sake of having someone to tell jokes is not necessarily always the right thing to do. When people say the comic relief character, it's usually to point out tokenism of the character archetype, as if to say things like, "Oh, this is a badly done version of that." because people won't call it out as a comic relief character if it's well done. They'll just say it's just a well-written character who's funny.
Yeah, I wouldn't say. Yeah, that's why I was like, why comic relief? Like the robots seem like their own characters.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're just actually written
Yeah.
characters.
Exactly, but now that you say, it's like, yeah, I guess that's their part of the story, being just funny because they are.
Yes.
But yeah, one thing that really annoys me about movies today as well is that I hate cute characters that are annoying. So they're like annoying. I just hate Olaf. I just I hate Olaf, and I don't know. There's a lot of characters that I just don't like that much, or they're like not as cute. I guess it's at the end of the day is taste, and that's not like appealing. But for example, in this movie, every single character for me it's funny. Like the dog, I don't like pugs. And I
Yes.
love the dog. It's so well. It's like it's not an annoying dog. It's really a nice and funny and stupid dog. So it doesn't annoy. Like his presence doesn't annoy me. The same. The robots, like as I said, like I just love them. They're like the best part of the movie. But also all the family members, none of them annoyed me. Like the dad didn't annoy me. He had his issues, but like he tried to like change them. He tried.
They're written like real people. They all have things about them that are annoying or negative, but the thing is they're supposed to just be people.
Yeah.
And the movie's about them all trying to deal with these together as a family to just show what a supportive family is supposed to look like. Because they're before you go off, because they are a dysfunctional family. They emphasize that they're the weird ones. They're the odd ones out, you know? The mom, like you mentioned earlier, is jealous of other moms and stuff. She has, there's another family that's like the super awesome family.
The Instagram family.
The Instagram family. It's like the dad's voiced by John Legend. Like, that's not a joke. It's actually John Legend. So the thing is, the movie is like, oh, they're the super perfect parents. They're so attractive and rich. And, they have a super smart daughter. And they're supposed to be the 100% complete foil of the Mitchells. They're the perfect family in terms of normalcy. And the Mitchells are the dysfunctional family. But obviously, as the movie tries to tell us, they're perfect in their own way.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, like, I think sometimes people think that a perfect family is the one that it's always perfect.
Yes.
But I don't think so. It's the same as having you can say my relationship is perfect and also have fights.
Yes.
It doesn't make it imperfect. Like the term perfect is, I don't know, sometimes too perfect. But I think the Mitchells are actually a quote unquote perfect family
because they do all the things a family should be doing.
Yes, and they actually notice what they're doing wrong, and they're actively trying to improve or change or apologize or do something so the person understands they didn't mean to do something.
Yes.
Like they're actually a perfect family. There's nothing they should be jealous of the other family.
And to that point, because they set this up too, I'm going to keep bringing this up because they set everything up in this movie. They set up earlier when she says to her little brother that she's just kind of playing along with the road trip to keep her dad happy. The robots use that against them later because they have successfully outwitted the robots at every turn and are going to get to, I guess, essentially their main base and upload a virus that's going to stop them and stuff. And they use that against the dad to hurt his feelings. And for a moment it does.
Mm-hmm.
But then quickly, she's like, no, I didn't mean like that. It's not the way it happened, whatever. And then the other thing is he immediately recovers. The moment that he is then put to the challenge of stepping up and being like, okay, you have a task to do. Your daughter needs you. He's like, okay, doesn't matter. I'm dad. I'm stepping in. I'm like, they don't do the stupid movie thing of like, oh, there was a misunderstanding. They hurt my feelings. I hate them now. I'm going to go run away and never talk to them. Like, they always do that in movies. They write ways to separate the characters so that things don't get resolved. Whereas this movie resolves them in a normal way. It's almost instant that they resolve these things because it's like that's what normal families should be doing. When there's a problem, they bring it up and they should talk about it. And they try to resolve it together.
I have a good movie to compare it to The Incredibles.
Oh, The Incredibles.
It's a really good movie to compare it to because the second Incredible movie, although it was, I don't know, I guess interesting, I hate it, and I cannot stand the fact that
Mr. Incredible?
Mr. Incredible, thank you. He never resolves his issues. He never resolves his toxicities.
His
you
dad
know,
problems.
he never resolves his things. How the movie ends is that they just he kind of wakes up and has to save the mom. But then again, that gives him again the power in the relationship, or like kind of like the sense of power in the relationship, which was he struggling with, because he was really struggling with letting the power go and not being the center of attention, or not being the one who is doing something.
Right, because the movie's supposed to be about that, because it
Oh,
takes
you haven't
place.
seen it.
I haven't seen it, but the
Yeah.
movie's supposed to be about that because it takes place in a different time period too.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like kind of mimicking the times where women were getting more power and men had to let them go, and it's trying to be a positive example of that. But from everything I've heard, it fails at it because, like you said, it doesn't
fails.
resolve it.
It doesn't resolve it at all. They kind of just forget that he has those bad things
The
about
sexist
him.
male thoughts.
Yeah, but I don't think Pixar deliver it well enough, because in The Incredibles, yeah, although they're set on like maybe the 70s, 80s, I don't even know, but yeah, it's not set in the 21st century. But it's kind of like, okay, but you have all this technology and all these superheroes, and you tend to forget they're in the 70s or 80s or whatever. You tend to forget that it's the before times.
Yeah, because the movie doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
like try to be like, this is we're making a comment of the sign of the
Yeah.
time. You're right. It's not as well fleshed out as it should be for my argument to even hold water.
Exactly. So it's like you have all this technology, and that makes me forget that it's the before times where sexism were a thing and men had to struggle between like I
The
don't
old
know,
world
the
male
yeah
perspective and what their duty was
Yes,
versus the
yes.
new world and changing and the freedom of all genders and stuff.
I think they didn't. It's more like I don't know. I don't think they did a great job delivering that message. They did an okay job. It's not a bad movie. It's not a bad message. It's not a bad idea. But I just don't see it like well delivered, and I don't like that there's no resolution for his flaws. In this movie, every flaw eventually either is in the beginning when he tries to kind of like do something for his daughter with the road trip, or in the middle when anything else happens between the daughter and the dad. Like there's always something like either someone apologizes like in small scenes, like for example, like he wants to sing with her and she doesn't.
Right. That's
Yeah.
a thing they set up earlier.
Yeah.
It's they had a song, but for the two of them, that they just
Yeah.
sing along when she was a little girl and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's
so-
like their song.
He wants to sing with her, and she's like, oh, I don't know that. And he's like, oh, okay. And then she immediately feels bad. And he's like, oh, but I can do it for you. And he's like, no, you don't have to. Like, so you can see that immediately in so many scenes, people feel bad and try to.
They're all trying.
Yeah, they're all trying. That's what I like, because that's what makes it real and relatable, that they're all trying. Sometimes they fail, but it doesn't matter. They keep trying because that's what families do. And the whole thing about this movie is it's like kind of revolves about family dynamics.
Yes.
Yeah. And how it doesn't matter what happens, you should always try to help your family,
And always have their back.
and always have their back, always. And even like the smartphone, or like the
Yes,
the
yes.
smart assistant.
The smart assistant, which essentially is just the Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg stand-in, super smart tech guy. Throws away the phone in a press conference to essentially be like, we don't need this old trash anymore, my new robots. And that's essentially what sets off the robot uprising, is that she has hurt feelings for being abandoned.
Yeah.
Which ties back to the whole, the family theme, because that's her whole motivation, is that she thinks the family dynamic, love, caring about people doesn't work because she was abused by her quote-unquote friend or her dad. I don't know what the metaphor of the movie's supposed to be. I guess he's her dad because he invented
No,
AI.
I think she was in love with him.
But it seems like
Yeah.
she sees it like a romantic thing.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is like the robot points, and the robot and the Elon Musk slash
Mark Zuckerberg type guy.
slash
His name is
every-
literally Mark.
Yeah,
He has a cyber truck.
Yeah. So exactly, he's like a mixture of all those like techie
The
people,
Silicon Valley,
the Silicon Valley guys.
super, yeah.
He is lost in this world because he doesn't have morals. He is hacking people. He's doing everything he needs to succeed with his plans.
Yes, he is the bald. He is the
Yes.
bald-faced evil corporation
Yeah.
analog. He literally says things like, "Wow, I guess maybe selling everyone's private data to a multinational corporation for profit was probably not a good idea." Like,
Yeah.
He literally says things like that,
Yeah, and of course, if
as if he's a moron because they're trying. I guess I think the filmmakers are trying to say you would have to be a moron to do horrible things like that.
No, yeah,
Allegedly.
and that's what we should stop even doing in this era, you know?
Yes.
And I think, of course, like he's super intelligent, like smart for assistant, seeing that just thinks like, yeah, there's no way, because she also points out that 90% of people will avoid picking up the phone when their mom calls.
Oh yeah, she throws some hurtful statistics at them.
Yeah, and those are the things that, like, of course, like if you kind of pay attention to how people are behaving now with families and how they care more about either what's seen on social media or about being connected with people outside their families, or just
It's all. I think you're actually onto something, because it's like the movie is saying technology connects all of us in such a great way, but it is unfortunately giving people excuses
to disconnect.
to distance themselves even further from their supposed loved ones, which is why
Yes.
they make the joke about that you ignore your mom's phone call. And because that's the thing, technology is what's separating the Mitchells, because the dad is a non-techie guy, Katie is a
Super
product of the
techie,
generation.
yeah.
She's the super techie. It just parallels that exact same journey. They're mirroring each other.
Yeah. So there's like a lot of good teachings in the film about all
Yes.
that, and it makes you think. It makes you think about your family. Like, I'm right now, I miss my dad and I want to give him a call. And yeah, it's really like they're trying to point out how important it is to keep good family dynamic, because a lot of people are forgetting that there is something called unconditional love. And of course, not everyone has the privilege of have a family that unconditionally loves you. But a lot of people are letting small things turn them apart from their families. Like really small things, just because your family is not perfect or it makes you uncomfortable or they don't understand you 100%, doesn't mean it's a bad family.
Right.
Yeah, it's not, doesn't mean it's an abusive family. It doesn't mean you're like your life is so bad. A lot of people are like, I don't know, giving up too early
Right.
in families, I think. And this movie, because like it's now so easy to compare yourself with others and to
That's
have
true.
other connections outside your family, that of course it's so easy to give up. It's so easy to just let them go, as she keeps saying, I want to get away and never see them again.
Yes.
And they
yes.
had done nothing wrong. That's the thing. It's just so easy for her to say that I just want to be between my people that understand me, because yeah, internet gives you the illusion that you will find people that exactly understand you 100%, and that's not true.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's a
Yeah.
complete fabrication to think
Yeah.
that.
If you find people that understand you, it doesn't say they're gonna unconditionally love you. It doesn't say they will be there for you forever. They're gonna have their own lives, friends or relationships or ex-relationships. Things change so much. So you can not just live with this idea that like the grass is greener on the other side of the screen, because it's
Right.
not. And yeah, this is a really like good wake up call for people to kind of go back to that like really strong family bond that you create, and remember, like, if you're lucky enough to have it, you should never let it go.
And to that as well, I would say the film is not like a super anti-technology movie either, which is the next best thing, is that they meet in the middle, just like the two main characters have to. They recognize that technology is useful in so many amazing ways, but they at the same time recognize that, like everything, overindulgence is a bad thing.
Yes.
And, like her dad decides to start using the internet. He starts using technology because it allows him to be connected to his daughter. So he meets her halfway.
Mm-hmm.
And she tries to spend less time kind of in front of the computer, and she's talking to her parents more. Like, she kind of comes out of the isolating shell
Yes.
of her phone, and he decides to, I guess, join her and kind of look into that screen with her to support her. Like,
Yeah.
they both kind of, it's very, very, very beautiful.
No, yeah, and throughout the whole film, they point that a lot. Like, it's in one scene, technology bad, we can fix it with a screwdriver.
Yes.
Next scene, technology amazing, we fixed it thanks to technology.
Exactly.
Next scene, technology bad, we need the old screwdriver again.
Yeah, yes.
The next scene,
The other thing
technology
they
is
set up,
amazing.
The dad's number 3 Robertson screwdriver.
Yeah, and I love it. Like, that joke comes back many times. But yeah, like, it's the thing is, like, literally the second after he fixes a thing with a screwdriver, he has to fix the next thing with technology. It's instant. And that's the thing is, like, every scene is kind of like really well balanced between hating technology and seeing the bad parts about it, and then loving technology and seeing the good and fun things about it.
And then also using all these scenarios to put their characters in like unfamiliar situations, because in the climax, it's like I said earlier, the dad has to go onto YouTube and subscribe to Katie's YouTube channel because her film that's on YouTube has the dog's face in it, and they're going to use the dog pig loaf of bread thing to kill a bunch of robots. It's hilarious. Yeah. But that's what I mean. They set that up, and Katie's driving the stick shift car. There's a scene earlier where he explains how to drive stick shift. So she's using his techniques against the robots. He's using her techniques. It's just great.
It is.
And then the mom also, the mom has a hilarious Mama Bear climax moment where her, like, the son gets captured by the robots, and she essentially goes full Kill Bill on the super robots, and it's great.
Well, another thing I want to point out is that when Mark, the Silicon Valley douchebag, is sitting like sobbing there because he basically destroyed humanity.
Oh yeah, he's like, I guess I brought about the apocalypse. Sorry, guys.
He's watching one of Katie's videos.
Yes.
And that's the first time the dad sees the video, and he's like, yeah, like, these videos always make me happy. And it's kind of realization, like, my daughter's videos make you happy?
She has like a successful YouTube channel, and he never even knew.
And he did bother her about it, like, oh, how are you gonna like do a career out of it? What if you get disappointed?
Yes, that's his concern at the beginning. Is how are you gonna make money? Like, I don't want your heart to be broken.
Yeah, he doesn't realize that other people will watch those things and will get enjoyment out of it. And the next thing I wanna start talking about is about all the different film references in the film.
Oh, there's so many.
So many, and I know I don't understand 99% of them. I know they're references.
Right.
It's too obvious they're references.
Yes, exactly.
But I don't know where they're from.
Right. What do you have some written down
many,
you want to
like
ask me?
when the robots kind of like land with their face down.
Oh yeah, that's an Iron Man reference.
Iron Man. Oh, there you go. Then
they do the superhero landing type style thing.
Yes, that's Iron Man. Okay, yeah. There's just so many. I don't even remember.
Yeah, exactly. The film is just full. There's just like Spider-Verse, which was my favorite film of that year. I'll say it again because I love that movie so much. It's a visual feast, and the action in this movie is great too. It's very like what do they call it? The stretch and squash of 2D animation, but it's been incorporated into 3D animation space. So just like Spider-Verse, it's trying to like bring back the art techniques of 2D, but into 3D. It's so great. And there's so much stuff going on. There's colors everywhere. It's just beautiful. It's explosions and fireworks and like all the pencil drawing stuff and the YouTube effects, and there's so much all the time going on where you're just like you're in awe of how much art there is.
So I guess this goes even deeper and more layered, because they're not only comparing old technology with new technology. They're also using old techniques with new
With
techniques.
new techniques, the YouTube,
Yes.
TikTok film tools, essentially. They're putting them in this movie.
No, but also like old techniques of animation.
Yes.
They're integrating them in new techniques of animation and like bringing some things back.
Yes, this
Yeah.
whole movie is metaphorically representing its theme in almost every single aspect. Technology and the old world meeting in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
great.
really good.
Really good.
Yeah, really good. I really like how you can see how much thought and heart went into this movie. You can see that this is not a cash grab. You can see this is like a movie that wanted to tell an original story based on stories we already know about.
Right. And like you're saying, in the end credits, the director, they did this very cute thing where when they do the credits, whoever the credit on the screen is, they have a family photo of them. So the director says that this movie is based on his family dynamic. Because in the end, they say this is the family the Mitchells were based on, and then it points to the director Mike Rianda as like a baby in his dad's arms, and his dad looks a lot like Rick and stuff, an outdoorsy type of looking guy. So again, just to hammer it home, the sincerity and genuineness in the craftsmanship and care that went into this film. These people cared about making people feel like families are a loving, inclusive thing, because that's what they're supposed to be.
They're supposed to be, yeah.
It was great.
And they are. We shouldn't lose faith in families because, I don't know, I kind of feel like people are doing it. I'm not taking, again, like, I understand that not everyone has a good family, so sometimes you cannot just enjoy it.
Right.
But I do feel that I know way too many people that take their family for granted, and they shouldn't, you know? So... And even like on like social media, I don't know, even people that I don't know, I kind of see that like of like famous people. I just feel that it's so easy to, I don't know, forget about those old ways, those old teachings about family, you know? Because yeah, before it was kind of like your family was like a ride or die situation. And at the same time, like, no, if your family is toxic or is hurting you so much, you should let them go.
Right.
But it's also a good thing. Let's remember why families exist, and let's remember how much unconditional love you can get from them.
Yeah, it's like it's literally just let's see a good example of a family.
Yeah.
And doesn't try to pretend like what an example of a good family is perfect.
Yeah. And I really like just an addition to the point, that perfect Instagram family, I really like that they didn't make them evil or nasty.
Right, they didn't make them snotty and mean. And then even at the end, she's just like, "Wow, you know, I'm so inspired by you." And Mrs. Mitchell's like, "Really?"
And I'm jealous a little bit.
I'm a little jealous. And she's like, "I followed you on Instagram," and just to make the final joke.
Yeah,
but yeah, like they also are just like. Just nice people. They're quote unquote perfect, but they're also just kind of just nice still.
Yeah.
Probably vapid, but still pretty nice.
And even the mom says like they're nice people. I shouldn't I shouldn't be mean to them because
so
they
nice.
are nice, but they're maybe a little bit snobby. Yeah, a little bit like too Instagram perfect, and doesn't mean that all Instagram perfect families are
snobby assholes.
Yeah, sometimes they're just have really good aesthetics. Good for them, you know? We should also celebrate those things.
This movie's great.
It's just too positive. I like positive movies.
It is.
Really
It's a very
like positive movies.
This movie gave me the same feeling that I felt after watching the Lego movie. Because I don't know if you remember the twist at the end of the Lego movie. Well, they essentially reveal, sorry, spoilers for the Lego movie. It's from 2014, but I guess I'm sorry anyways.
No, don't be sorry.
They reveal that the whole thing was a kid playing with his dad's toys. And he was basing the villain off of his dad having control over him and not letting him play with the toys. Like it was a meta, break the fourth wall, break the movie moment where you're just like, wow. And it made everything so much more sincere and made everything feel much more impactful when you go, oh my God, this is about a child who has an imagination that his dad is unwittingly crushing because he's like not letting him play with his dad's Lego set. because it's like his dad's like a model collector,
But
so
that's so
he glues
sad.
them and puts them down. That's exactly right. It's supposed to be a sad kind of realization, and then the movie resolves itself by the dad realizing he's like, I should be letting my son, I should culture my son's love.
So he was nice.
Yes, it
I don't
ends up
remember
he realizes the error of his ways, but the point being, there seems to be a similarity in everything that Lord and Miller seem to keep being involved with. And if they keep giving me these kinds of like revelatory, like sleeper realizations through films, I think the art form will only get better as a result of them and the talent that they are cultivating, because they just make me feel good when I watch a movie. Whether it's I'm laughing so hard that when my sides hurt, or I get a very emotional connection to a positive family relationship or a positive story about child creativity. Like they just love making people feel good.
I guess Disney is dying because, dude.
Fuck Disney. I'm going to say it on the podcast now. I should have said it in the first episode, but we were talking about a British art film, so the topic did not come up in casual conversation.
It's just I do, for example, I do like Pixar a lot.
You're an apologist.
I am an apologist for Pixar. But it's slowly kind of dying. Like, there's just so many excuses I can make for Disney or like for Pixar. And for Disney, I don't know. It's
I don't know.
Hit or miss.
They are hit or miss because they're kind of just doing their own thing, which sometimes works.
Yeah.
In the case of like Wreck-It Ralph, and then other times you're just kind of like, oof.
But I don't know.
What the hell are you doing?
But like, you know how Wreck-It Ralph is a little bit also kind of like, I don't know how to describe this type of movie. Witty?
I guess maybe witty is what you're talking about, because Wreck-It Ralph kind of expects the audience to know some things. It's
the
not,
same as this movie. That's
like they expect you to kind of know. You need to be familiar with these things.
Yeah, to understand.
Or the movie rather expects that you're familiar with them, because, oh God, I can imagine in like lesser hands it would be, now we're going to explain what TikTok is for all the dads in the audience.
No.
Dad, don't you understand? TikTok is my video platform in which I get to showcase all of my talent.
Oh yeah, they do that.
They would never do like a dumb this movie would never ever do anything like that. It's too smart for that. But in a dumber movie, they would do all those things, because they would say, we gotta remember to explain to everybody what Facebook is. Remember Facebook? Let's make a bunch of references to Facebook. Dad, like my tweets. Like, oh my God, my body is cringing just thinking about it.
Yeah, so Disney does a lot of that. So
I know, it's pathetic.
So for example, Wreck-It Ralph, which is also a movie that
It's very referential.
Is very referential, and it's kind of fun. It did, like, I, for example, didn't. In the first 10 minutes, I had to turn off Wreck-It Ralph. I had to keep watching it later because I couldn't, because it didn't grab my attention. Okay. So, and I that's the thing. Unless I'm watching with someone, a movie, I'll turn it off. I cannot give you more than 10 minutes to catch my attention. So that happened with Wreck-It Ralph. Eventually, I saw it because I'm like, okay, we'll go through it and see the movie. It wasn't that bad. It was an actual, like, okay movie. But that's the thing. Like, whatever they tried to do, the Mitchells versus the Machines did it better. Like, whatever they tried to do. Yeah.
That was the 40-year-old writer's attempt at making a relatable movie that's hip with the kids.
Media,
This movie is a relatable movie that's hip with the kids.
Yeah.
It actually is current and contemporary and knows what it's talking about.
I don't know who is in charge of this movie or who is making the, like, big decisions.
Will it be the director?
Yeah, but, like, he's either, like, who, like, so the director, right?
Yeah, the Gravity Falls guys.
But let's say there's no, like, bigger executives telling him what to do, right?
No, the only other people that would tell him what to do would be Lord and Miller, because they're the producers.
Oh, okay,
and then they would then be in liaison with the executives with all the money. So it's up to Phil Lord and Christopher Miller to essentially fight on the movie's behalf. So they would be the ones, would be the guys with the money. So they go, oh, well, we need this money for this and this and this and this and this. And it's up to them to actually sell the idea.
So either the guys with the money just trusted them or they're not boomers. Yeah, because Disney is managed by
boomers.
Old boomers that
old out of touch boomers
that want to sell to China, and they're just like, out of touch. They don't know what's a good message anymore, and all their movies are old. I don't know, old fuckers. They're not relatable anymore.
Well, that's the thing. This is a Netflix movie, so Netflix
Yeah.
probably just trusted them because their track record is so
Yeah.
outstandingly good. Every family film that they have made in the past 5 years is like award winning and has spawned franchises upon franchises. Like they are cash cows and they make art.
Does this movie want anything?
It only came out a couple months ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
so they will win next year, hopefully.
If there is anything to be nominated for, it will be for next February.
Next February.
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
No, they're probably going to be nominated for Best Animated Feature just because everyone's going to talk about it.
Hopefully,
I mean, who
because
knows? They got snubbed for the Lego Movie. I'll never forget that. I will never forget that.
snobs.
Snubbed. Yeah, they didn't even get nominated. It was
Oof.
ridiculous. And they were, by and large, by far the best animated film in the past 20 years.
Really? I know a lot of people that don't like the Lego Movie.
Those people are wrong.
No, but yeah, like if this movie doesn't like honestly, if there's a Pixar movie coming out this year, I don't even know. Oh, Luca came out this year, right?
Was that Pixar?
Yeah, no.
Oh my God,
that's
it
Disney or
was.
that's
No, I think it is
Pixar.
Pixar.
That's
Oh,
it.
Yeah.
Luca, stupid Luca is gonna win
Yeah, I know. No, it's gonna be.
because they.
Yeah, it's because it's Pixar.
Yeah.
I know. But see, this is.
It's gonna happen because they're a sucker for Pixar.
Yes, you're understanding that the Oscars are meaningless and don't matter.
I always knew it, even when I
but
was
now you're
young,
starting
I
to
knew it.
feel it.
But I didn't care enough. But now that this is my favorite movie of all times, I care.
Of course.
And like, if they don't win over fucking Luca, like
Luca.
Luca wasn't that bad, but like still,
Luca was like okay.
yeah,
It was fine. It had
But
some
it's
good
gonna
things.
win because it's Pixar and because it's like, like I don't know, cheesy and like, oh, let's cry about it, you know. It's a good movie actually, but
I don't know. I'm just shocked. I guess I'll just say welcome to the side of film snobs. You are
No,
turning into one
no.
slowly. Come to the dark side. Hate things. Be cynical.
I do hate things. I hate things more than I love things. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyways, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to keep going on, and you guys need to watch this film.
Yes.
I was gonna bring something up like the middle part of the movie that's awesome, but you guys just go see it. I don't want to spoil it because it's so funny.
I don't want to spoil it.
The mid movie,
after spoiling.
the mid movie. Oh no, I haven't said what it is yet. I'm not gonna say
Oh,
it.
okay.
The mid movie climax is so hilarious.
Oh, I want to say it.
in the mall.
I want to say it.
You want to bring it up?
Okay, I won't bring it up. Oh, one thing I could say is that at the beginning, I kind of didn't like the North American dynamic of the family because I'm not North American.
Oh, you mean
so-
the mom, the dad, the son, the daughter,
No,
the dog?
she has to go away for university, and what if she never comes back home like that?
Right, you can't relate to that. You're like,
I
"What?
cannot
Oh, okay."
relate to that. Like, man, come on. There's no like where I am from. There's no way you don't go back home. Come on, that's not even an option.
Yeah, I know.
So for me, seeing that, it's like rolling my eyes.
because you're like, why do American? I'm sure you're probably thinking, why do American teenagers act like this? Why is moving out supposed to be I'm on my own and forget about my family?
Jesus.
I don't. I can't say that I don't understand it because I do understand it. I don't necessarily think it's the right thing, but I sympathize with why it's a mentality. I know you're just looking at me shaking your head like you're so full of shit.
Yeah. For me, that's yeah.
I understand wanting to get independence, and sometimes when you're a teenager, it feels like at the moment you say I'm never gonna see him again, but then in a couple of years you always come back.
A couple of months.
Whatever. Like I'm just saying is like I think it's more that in the moment they say things like that
Yeah.
because they want to be independent, because being independent is such a core
sucks.
part of being American.
It sucks. You have to pay for your own shit. Like that's the thing. Is like I just find it
Real world
silly.
problems aside, we're not arguing that. We're talking about the emotional reasons for why.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I 100%. I know that's just my opinion, Like, and it has nothing to do with how good the movie or bad movie this is. It didn't bother me because I have seen the North American family dynamic thousands of times.
So you can recognize
I
it.
already know it. I don't care about it. Like, I get a little bit like, I will roll my eyes because I find it silly, but it doesn't annoy me, right? So it didn't ruin the movie whatsoever, not even in the beginning for me. It was just a thing that I noticed again, and I'm like, why do North Americans just like wanna go away? I don't get it.
These people are stupid.
These people, like, Jesus.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. And to that point, the director voicing what was like a 10-year-old child was distracting for me. So
Oh, there you go.
there's
yeah.
my one thing that I can say that's bad about
Yeah.
the movie. I did not like that the kid was voiced by an adult man. I understand why it might have been necessary. It was still weird for me.
But for me, it was great because I hate children. So, like, there you go. Two different opinions, and it's up to you to decide what you find annoying.
VS.
Yeah, versus. Yeah, this is the versus part of the podcast. Yeah.
All right. Well, do you have any final things you want to say?
No, I
Closing
think
thoughts?
I'm pretty good and pretty happy with this discussion.
Yeah, you feel pretty happy.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you everybody so much for listening, and let's go eat dinner.
Yeah.